Koepka is the leader at 12 under after a 67 today. 23-year-old amateur Sam Bennett, who's in his fifth year at Texas A&M, is at 8 under along with John Rahm, 4 shots back. Live coverage right now on ESPN and ESPN+. The LSU women's basketball team will accept an invite to the White House, and Tigers captain Angel Reese will attend after saying earlier this week the Tigers should celebrate with the Obamas instead.
Yes, I'm a team player. I mean, it would look crazy for me not to be there, for one. And then for two, I mean, going back home to the DMV, you don't really get those chances. You don't get those chances often. So being able to go back with the team and just following along with my coach, I think they have the best interest in me.
Angel Reese on KJ and Max. ESPN has learned the Titans will sign defensive lineman Jeffrey Simmons to a 4-year extension that could be worth up to $94 million. And Mets right-hander Justin Verlander says he could be back on the mound before the end of April.
If you're experiencing a spring hiring rush, then you need Indeed. Their powerful all-in-one hiring platform makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire candidates all in one place. Want to find your next great hire? Visit Indeed.com/credit.
If you haven't take problems, I feel bad for you, son. I got 99 problems, but a Chris ain't one. Hit me.
This is Canty and Carlin on ESPN Radio. You can also listen to the show on the ESPN app, your smart speaker, and on SiriusXM Channel 80.
Brooks Koepka is your leader at Augusta as they continue play. Round 2, Friday at the Masters. He's 12 under par. Got a 4-shot lead on 2 guys. One is obvious, John Rahm, one of the best players in the world. The other one is an amateur named Sam Bennett, who's not going to get paid for playing so well in the biggest tournament of them all. It's Canty and Carlin on ESPN Radio, ESPN app, SiriusXM Channel 80, where you can check us out on your smart speaker by just saying play ESPN Radio. 888-SAY-ESPN, the number if you want to jump in with us, 888-729-3776. I'm Aaron Goldhammer. He is Coley Harvey. We go back to the NBA because there are a couple of teams, I think, as we enter the playoffs, that this might kind of be their last chance to get it done. Otherwise, there are consequences. And I guess I want to start with Philly first, because I think if they don't make the conference finals, Coley, I think at the very least, I don't know about Harden and the future there, but I think at the very least they're going to be making a coaching change with Doc Rivers.
Ooh, that's heavy to think about, but you might be right, just because this is a team that has, when it comes to the postseason, it's underachieved the last several years. And again, the Harden question is going to be a question that does get asked throughout these playoffs, which is unfortunate for the players they have to think about and worry about, but it is true, and it's a fair question. Is this going to be it? I don't know. I would like to think that Harden would want to continue to see what they can build here. But again, we've seen the way that he's been bouncing around team to team, trying to look for that ring. Even the reports of him possibly wanting to go back to Houston, which could be a lot harder to get a ring there. Excuse me. Yep. But I think it bears watching for sure as we
no doubt. Also, so then the Celtics are kind of another interesting case here after going to the finals last year. Expectations are obviously high for them, but Jaylen Brown is going to be entering the last year of his contract coming up. And my history with this is if an NBA player hits unrestricted free agency, there is a good chance that player is going to be leaving and going somewhere else in free agency. I thought what he said on KJ and Max was interesting this morning, in part because not of what he said, but how he said it with Jason Fitz. Take a listen to this.
What do you want for your future?
What do you mean by that?
Well, there's a lot of speculation about, does Jaylen Brown see a long-term future with the Celtics? We spent hours talking about what the future looks like for you in Boston. What do you want?
I want to win a championship, of course. I think that's what every player and every athlete plays his game for, is to win. So that would be nice to start.
Do you want to do that in Boston?
Absolutely. Why not? I think we got a great opportunity right now here. So I'm looking forward to the playoffs.
If I had to identify the most interesting part of that soundbite, it's it's explain what you're feeling when you hear that answer. It was not exactly an emphatic yes from Jaylen Brown.
It was not, and it didn't sound like a ringing endorsement to stay in the city of Boston. And what's really kind of interesting is just last night he earned the Red Auerbach Award, which goes annually to the player that best exemplifies what it means to be a Celtic. So it's kind of like, I don't know if Boston was just like, okay, let's give him this to kind of go on and get him thinking about staying here and what it means to be a Celtic and how important he really is to the franchise. But that being said, yeah, that did not inspire a lot of confidence right away. Again, the rest of his answer, he said what he had to say, which is, of course, he would want to win a championship if it's in the
If I'm the Celtics, I'm doing everything I can to keep him because I think that position is the most important, hardest to find. And I think he and Tatum together, if you keep those two guys together, they're going to win a championship at some point. But, Coley, here's the crazy thing. We talked about two teams, right? The Celtics and the Sixers. One of those two, just based on the alignment of the postseason, is not going to make the conference finals. We already said, okay, Philly doesn't make it. It's going to cost Doc his job or maybe even more shakeup than that. You mentioned the Harden-Houston rumors. And then if the Celtics don't make it, I think Jaylen Brown becomes one of the most interesting stories of the offseason. Do they want to get him all the way to free agency, or is there a way that they would consider making a trade with Jaylen Brown? So the loser of that second-round series, boy, there is a lot at stake hanging in the balance there.
Yeah, the future of your organization probably could depend on, and not just depending on how, but when in the playoffs that exit could come. To your point, if it is an early exit for the Sixers, then oh man, that certainly spells not rebuild, but breaking it down for a little bit. If it's the Celtics, if it's early, maybe not quite as desperate. But when it comes to Jaylen Brown, I'm right there with you that you've got to be throwing the kitchen sink at him because this has been the glue player for your postseason run the last few years. He and Jason Tatum, I mean, they have formed such a tandem when it comes to the playoffs and when it comes to those clutch moments. I just think you've got to make sure that you keep that particular core in place if you're Boston.
Yep. Canty and Carlin, ESPN Radio, ESPN app. I'm Aaron Goldhammer with Coley Harvey. There's one obvious team that jumps out in the West, and it is the Warriors. Okay. I just think they're getting older. I don't know how much longer Draymond is going to be there. There was this thought for a while, Coley, that with Wiseman and Kuminga that they could just keep the magic rolling on from one generation to the next. Kuminga's played a little bit better. Wiseman obviously isn't there even anymore. So it does feel like the opportunities for them to wrap up a fifth or a sixth, that those are starting to run a little bit short. I just wonder at his age how much longer Steph, first and foremost, is going to be able to do this.
And he's been having some of these injuries the last couple of years that have kind of made that even more of a question mark in terms of how is his stability going to be from a health standpoint. And he's 34, I believe now. He's getting a little bit older, has certainly proven what he's needed to prove in the league. He is, without a doubt, made his mark. But that being said, I just still think, and I mentioned this in the last hour, that this is a team that when it comes to this time of year, I know they haven't put it all together throughout the season.
Totally. I totally agree with
that. They're just teams that know how to get it done when the lights are the brightest, and I think this is that team.
I can't believe we're at a place where if I'm the Kings, I want LeBron, but they sort of have it in their own hands tonight. If they beat the Warriors, there's a chance Golden State falls to the play-in, and then all of a sudden they get to deal with the Lakers, which I'd much rather have that than the defending champs coming rolling into my building. One other team in the West that I think is worth mentioning in this conversation about, what's at stake, whose title window is closing. I mean, how many more postseason runs? Denver's got Jokic, but how many more postseason runs are they going to have if they come up short with sort of this core intact in the same way? I don't know if they could run it back if they don't get to the conference finals.
Well, the thing that does work in their favor is being in the West, where there is a little more fluidity, it feels. Whereas, in the East, it kind of feels like you kind of have those set teams, even if the windows are closing for certain teams in the East. But at least there's this level of fluidity where they could run it back. I think a lot of people, at least outside of basketball, were a little surprised to see the Nuggets do what all they've done this year. Not surprised that they were a good team, but to be as good as they were, as consistent as they were throughout the season.
But this is a regular season thing, and all anybody's going to remember there.
What do you do in the playoffs?
I'm from there, and it's a weird basketball market, but I could care less about Jokic winning the MVP. I want Jokic to win the NBA Finals MVP at this point. Canty and Carlin is presented by Progressive Insurance. If you're looking for a career path with flexibility and great pay and benefits, you can go to progressive.com/careers. Apply online today by going to progressive.com/careers. I'm Aaron Goldhammer. He is Coley Harvey. And we keep the NBA talk going and head out to the hotline. We bring in ESPN NBA reporter Tim Bontemps. Tim, we were talking about who has the most at stake, whose title window could be closing. I came to the realization either Philly or Boston, one of those two teams is not going to make the conference finals, the way the East playoffs is laid out. So for the team that misses out on the conference finals, what do you think the consequences would be?
Well, it's funny because I'll get to that, but I kind of want to go back to the beginning of your question, which is what teams and players have the most pressure on them in these playoffs. And because you guys were talking about Denver before I came on, I think the answer to that, both those questions, are Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets. Now, I realize that, people have just anointed the Suns as the team everybody, generally thinks is going to come out of the West. But to your point, Nikola Jokic is possibly going to be the 3-time MVP of the league. If not, he's going to finish second after winning twice in a row and averaging, near, if not a triple-double this season. And Denver is going to have the number one seed in what's the weakest Western Conference in recent memory, if maybe ever, and is a dominant home court advantage team with one of the best players in the world leading it, right? That, if you just say in a vacuum, hey, a conference is down, there's a number one seed that has a 2-time MVP and has won 90% of its home games, you would say, all right, that team should win the West, right? So to me, looking at this, I think Denver needs to make a deep run, and if not make the finals, make the conference finals and make a real legitimate playoff run outside the bubble for the first time. And if they don't, I think that opens up all sorts of questions about what the future of that franchise looks like, what the future of that core looks like, and whether you can win with Nikola Jokic as your best player deep in the playoffs. So, we'll get to Boston and Philly after, but I just wanted to chime in on that because I know people sort of dismiss Denver and dismiss Jokic, but to me, there's just so much pressure on them to win in these playoffs because I think it opens up pretty massive existential questions about the franchise going forward if they don't.
Tim, Coley Harvey here. You basically just kind of said what I was trying to get out, but I didn't say it anywhere near as cleanly as you. So thank you for that. I do want to stick in the West with you though right now. How good are the Kings when it comes to the playoffs? What can we expect from this team?
Well, it's a really interesting question, Coley, because I was just talking about this on TV with Max Kellerman, and he was sort of just saying, well, why is everybody dismissing Sacramento? Why is everybody, why are they not looking at them like they're looking at Denver? And, the reasons are the Kings are a bad defensive team, which typically does not work in the playoffs, right? And at the end of the day, as good as De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis have been, they're not on the same level, it would seem to me, as these other guys they're going up against, right? They're not as good as AD and LeBron. They're not as good as Steph and Draymond and Clay. They're not as good as Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. They're not as good as, John Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. So they certainly have had a great season. I think the fact that they're limping into the playoffs is not the best look, right? They just lost the other day to the San Antonio Spurs in pretty convincing fashion. They lost to Dallas on Wednesday. A Dallas team that's been terrible for the past month and a half. So we'll see what they look like in the playoffs, quite possibly in a first-round matchup with the Golden State Warriors, who they're probably going to sit everybody against tonight. But look, their season's been such a success. If they lose even in a sweep in the first round to Golden State, I don't think anybody should look at their season any less of a success than they look at it now. But I do think their offense is good enough, and De'Aaron has been good enough in clutch situations that they can at least be competitive in the first round. But me personally, if they're playing the Clippers or the Warriors or even the Lakers, it's going to be hard for me to pick them to win a series.
All right, Tim, I promise eventually we'll get back to the Celtics and the Sixers thing. But as long as we're talking, as long as we're talking about the Kings, hang on a second, because if I was them, I would not be resting everybody for this game. I would want to try to get the Lakers and not the Warriors in the first round. Why don't you think they would be approaching it that way?
Well, it's a good question. I think you can make that argument if you want. I mean, frankly, you could also make the argument that the Warriors are 9-30 on the road, and if you're going to pick a team in the first round of play, you might as well pick a team that can't win a road game if you're going to have home court advantage, right? So you could argue that. I would rather play the Lakers myself, but I also do think that there's something to the fact that if you're, and this sort of works in reverse too, there's been so much talk about, oh, you have to avoid Phoenix. You have to avoid Phoenix. You can't play Phoenix. You got to play somebody else. I'm of the belief that if you are worried about who you're going to play in the first round of the playoffs to that degree, you're not a real contender to do anything anyway. You know what I mean? Like, I just think that's a losing mentality to be going into the playoffs going, oh man, we got to avoid playing Phoenix. We got to try to get Sacramento. Or we got to try to do this or try to do that. I think you just play who's in front of you, because if you really think you can make a run, you're going to have to beat really good teams. You're just going to have to at some point. And I think you're just letting the wrong stuff get in your head if you're obsessing about who you're going to play, especially if you're a team like the Kings. And it's really, they could play one of 4 teams, right? It's not like they're guaranteed to get the Lakers if it goes that way. They could get the Pelicans, they could get the Clippers, they could get anybody. So to me, I think they got to do what's best for them. Their guys have looked pretty tired, but they need to give them a couple days off and give them time to get rested up and ready to go after what's been a pretty long season. All those guys have been healthy. Basically, none of them missed games. I understand what they're doing, and I don't think it makes a dramatic difference which of these teams they get in the first round.
Tim, you're sounding like a coach with that sounds like a loser's mentality. Man, you got me fired up right now. I'm ready to run through a brick wall for somebody right now, too. I do want to take us back to the East. We were just talking about the Celtics and the Sixers. Philly, this is a team that just got blown out by the Heat last night, but a couple nights before that, they had that big performance from Embiid, 52 points, with 13 boards. What can we make of this Sixers team as they start to head into the playoffs? Are they going to be playing like they did against the Celtics, or are we going to see a team like they did last night against the Heat?
Well, I mean, look, last night's game against the Heat, they had literally nothing to play for. And as Doc Rivers said, both during the game to Jared Greenberg and afterwards, they played like a team with nothing to play for, right? I mean, they were out there basically getting some cardio in and then going home for the night. So I wouldn't really take any stock in that game. To go back to Aaron's original question, I mean, that second-round series, I have been targeting covering the second-round series between Boston, Milwaukee, and Philly, whichever two of those teams were playing, since the first day of the season, for just the reason that Aaron laid out. Like, whoever loses that series, be it Philly or Boston, there's going to be some pretty existential questions about that team going forward. If Boston loses, you've got the future of Jaylen Brown hanging in the balance, right? We'll see if he makes All-NBA and is eligible for the Supermax. If he's not, then there's going to be some real decisions on both sides in terms of whether Jaylen's willing to extend off his current deal. And if he's not, then are the Celtics going to go into next season and then potentially go being non-restricted free agent next summer? And then you have the Sixers with James Harden, who could be a free agent this summer. And if they lose in the second round, it's the team that Joel Embiid has said is the best team he's been on in a Philadelphia 76er uniforms. I think Philly is a bit unfortunate in that I do think the 3 best teams in the NBA are the 3 best teams in the Eastern Conference, and Philly is probably the 3rd best team, and therefore the 3rd best team in the league might be out in the second round of the playoffs. And if they were in the West, I think they would walk to the finals, personally. So, look, I mean, there's going to be real consequences probably for either one of those teams if they lose in the second round, and real questions about what their future is, which is what makes that series, on top of the fact that you've got a couple, long-standing rivals playing. That's what makes it, to me, such a fascinating series, because there really is a lot more on the line than just a trip to the conference finals. It could shape what those teams look like for the next couple seasons or more.
You can listen to Tim Bontemps with Brian Windhorst in the Hoop Collective Mondays and Fridays, available wherever you get your podcasts. He's an ESPN NBA reporter. As punishment for redirecting the first question, I'm going to make you answer this, and I'm going to hold you to it.
Sure.
Who is the next big star in the NBA to change teams, Tim?
Interesting question. How are we defining a star? And I'm not saying that to try to get out of it, but how what level player are we talking about?
I'm talking stops Sports Center in its tracks, gets you to come off of vacation if you're on vacation when it happens.
Well, that's an incredibly short list of players. I mean, I'm trying to think of who. I mean, it's kind of funny. We're in an interesting spot where, not a lot of those guys are really going to be necessarily available anytime soon, right? So, yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to duck it. I don't have a great answer to that. But what I will say is, I think this summer has the potential to see a ton of significant movement in the league, because if you look at the way things are right now, like we spent most of this segment talking about how wide open the West is, right? If you look across both conferences, there's just a ton of parity and a ton of teams that are more or less the same. And when you have a bunch of teams like that are more or less the same, that means everybody has about the same expectations. I mean, look, we spent all this time talking about, can Golden State get out of the West? Can the Lakers get out of the West? Can the Clippers get out of the West? You know what? None of those teams have home court advantage in the first round of the Western Conference playoffs. Right?
Fair.
So you're going to be talking about a lot of teams that have big-time disappointment about what their seasons have looked like. And when you have teams that are really disappointed about their seasons, that leads to significant change in the offseason. And so I think when you look ahead to this summer, I think that there's a lot of guys and a lot of teams that could be examining what their futures look like. And as I thought more about it, I mean, the two sort of most obvious answers to your question are James Harden and Kyrie Irving, because both those guys will be free agents this summer. Right? And they're probably the two most prominent free agents this summer. And maybe they'll both stay with the Sixers and Mavs, and maybe they'll leave, but they're the ones who have the most immediate direct ability to change their destination. So I would say those guys kind of by default. But I think that these playoffs have the potential to be as wild as any we've seen in recent memory. And I think as a result of that, this summer, with the new CBA in place, with a lot of teams looking to shake things up after disappointing playoffs, I think it's got a chance to be a pretty wild summer from a transactional standpoint with guys moving around the league.
Well, Tim, it's going to be a busy season for you. Get some rest, and the playoffs are coming. Appreciate it. It's Tim Bontemps, ESPN NBA reporter, joining us here on Canty and Carlin on ESPN Radio. Up next, one of the most popular sports movies ever, debuted 30 years ago today. We will relitigate some things from The Sandlot. Next, I'm Aaron Goldhammer. He's Coley Harvey. This is ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Hey, it's Greeny, and what a sports weekend we have working. Final weekend of the NBA season, and someone finishes the weekend wearing a green jacket. We'll talk about all of it with you on Monday. It's Greeny, starting 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Progressive asks, what do a diehard fan watching the game at home?
With 4 seconds left.
A poorly placed good luck candle.
Don't let me down, candle. Kick is up.
A last-second improbable win.
It's good! Yes!
And flammable sports-themed curtains have in common?
Oh, jeez, whoa!
They can scorch your big win high and your beloved sports memorabilia.
Not my unwashed 1997 game-worn jersey! This is what dreams are made of!
Bundle your home and auto with Progressive for great savings and round-the-clock protection. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates and other insurers. Discount not available in all states or situations.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. Welcome to AutoZone, America's #1 brakes destination. We have the pads, rotors, drums, shoes, and brake fluids to improve your stopping power. Right now, save 15% when you get any 2 Duralast rotors with a set of Duralast brake pads. Missing a tool? Ask about our free Loan-A-Tool program and borrow the tools you need to get the job done. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Claim based on data from the MPD Group 2021. Deposit required for Loan-A-Tool.
For the ones finding new ways to ensure the job always gets done. For the ones wearing many hats. For the ones who are hands-on, even from far away. And the ones keeping business moving forward. We are Grainger, offering professional-grade industrial supplies, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to answer your toughest questions. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Natalia, solid dismount, but that little pause is a deduction.
Top tumblers hope to stick the landing with Coach Jasmine.
That aerial sequence still needs work.
She needs more certified athletic trainers to find her balance.
Focus. I'm going to need you for the all-around. Wait, who's spotting the vault?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello from Empty Tomb. People have wondered if we operate a cemetery. One person asked if we were connected to the Grateful Dead band. No. We here at Empty Tomb work with church people to love our neighbors as ourselves. We do that because Jesus told us to do it. And since Jesus got up from the dead, we're willing to believe that Jesus knows what he's talking about. Locally, church people help others in Jesus' name with groceries, furniture, and clothes, and with rent, gas, or medical bills. Also, your historically Christian church can apply to Empty Tomb's Mission Match to help reduce, in Jesus' name, the number of the world's little kids under age 5 who are dying from treatable causes. See missionmatch.org. For more info about Empty Tomb in general, including how to donate, go to emptytomb.org. At Easter, we celebrate that the empty tomb is empty. Now let's get to work. For more info about Empty Tomb in general, including how to donate money or things, go to emptytomb.org. Happy Easter now and all year long.
Hi, I'm Troy Lands from Lands Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. Right now at Lands, it's a great time to buy a new Trane heating and cooling system. We are offering special financing or up to $1,500 off any qualifying Trane system. At Lands, we know what it takes to deliver exceptional comfort, and we offer a 100% satisfaction guarantee. So if you are thinking of a new comfort system, now is the time to buy. And remember, it's hard to stop a Trane. I'm Troy Lands. You can count on my company because you can count on me.
Subject to credit approval, see store for details.
BMW, Buick, GMC, Honda, and Subaru. Welcome to Sarah Champagne. We can handle all your car repairs on site, including paintless dent repair, bumpers, windshields, everything in between. We have an amazing selection of new or pre-owned vehicles to choose from. Shop from home and buy online or reserve your vehicle before it hits our website or dealership. Sarah Champagne is home of the Sarah One Price Promise, delivering an honest and transparent buying experience. Hurry in or shop online at sarahchampagne.com.
PDR Automotive has now been serving the Champaign-Urbana area for over 50 years. To give you some perspective, 50 years ago ended the U.S. involvement in the Vietnam War, and it was when Secretariat won the Triple Crown. So what does that mean for you and your vehicle? Whether you need a carburetor overhauled or your new vehicle computer system diagnosed or programmed, PDR Automotive has the experienced, knowledgeable staff that can handle all your automotive needs. Online at pdrauto.com, they are what's best for your truck or car. They are PDR.
Hi, I'm Tyler Weaver, president of Carpet Weavers Flooring and Furniture Gallery. It's time to come home to Carpet Weavers. We don't want you to just like your new floors. We want you to love them. From waterproof floors and carpet to furnitures and design advice, we've got a team of experts on your side. We'll get you the best price and the best quality products. And complete your home with furniture and accessories. Buy it all with free financing too. Come home to Carpet Weavers, where floors, furniture, and family meet.
The Boneyard Arts Festival is coming up April 15th at Meadowbrook Park from noon to 3. All ages are welcome to this free event. See art from local students and meet artist Tim Somerville. He sculpted Life on the Prairie, the awesome new sculpture of the bison at Meadowbrook Park. Meet at the Meadowbrook Interpretive Center April 15th, and be sure to stick around and enjoy a great walk through the Wandale Sculpture Garden. Take in public art at Meadowbrook for the Boneyard Arts Festival. For details, visit urbanaparks.org.
Please join the CU Autism Network Saturday, April 15th for their 12th annual walk and resource fair at the Savoy Recreation Center. There will be inflatables, a mobile sensory museum, food vendors, a quiet area, and a silent auction. Check-in is at 11:30 and the walk begins at 2 p.m.
Hi, this is Diane Ducey with Stevie J Broadcasting. My son Aiden and I will be a part of the Autism Walk on Saturday the 15th once again.
For more information, to volunteer, sponsor, or to register for the walk April 15th, visit CUAutismNetwork.org.
Hey, Illini fans, it's Georgia B. Catch my boys Lante and Derek Piper weekdays from 4 to 6 on The Drive. Boom, boom, brr.
Logo on the chest of the Lakers, we wouldn't even be talking about them this way. They wouldn't even be relevant in the conversation because at best they're a mediocre basketball team.
I disagree.
And they are a mediocre basketball team
because of LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Now, you take LeBron off that team, I don't think we talk about him at all.
I mean, I understand we would have to talk a little bit about LeBron, but it wouldn't be this. Like, we are trying. I asked Tim Bontemps yesterday on our show, why we're talking about the Lakers so much, and Tim actually agreed with me because yesterday on First Take, all I simply said was that I don't think the Lakers are getting getting out of the first round of the playoffs. Why? This isn't some rocket science. I'm not anti-Lakers. I don't have a conspiracy theory. I love the Lakers being good. It's good for ratings. But the fact is, like, Denver's a better basketball team. Memphis is a better basketball team. Phoenix is a better basketball team. Golden State's a better basketball team. The Clippers have beat them 11 times in a row.
Sorry, but we actually have a wait list for our Monstera.
Shaw's greenhouse is really bringing in the green.
We can't keep snake plants and stuff.
She needs a construction manager to build on her roots and grow.
We could add a whole section for ferns, but here we'd have dahlias, dahlias, and more dahlias.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
The Low Post Podcast with Zach Lowe.
Tatum, I think at worst, he's third in MVP right now. He's playing defense at a borderline all-defense level. He's too young for these conversations to really start in earnest. If he's a Celtic for life for most of his career, he has a chance to be historically, for the one of the two historic giants in the league, as great as any player who's ever worn that uniform, including Bird.
Check out the Low Post Podcast on the ESPN app or wherever you listen to podcasts. This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. The second round of the Masters is now in a second weather delay. Brooks Koepka has the lead at 12 under, 3 ahead of Jon Rahm, 4 ahead of reigning U.S. Amateur champion Sam Bennett. Tiger Woods is 2 over, right on the projected cut line, trying to make his record-tying 23rd straight Masters cut. Mavericks guard Kyrie Irving and 4 of his teammates will sit out tonight's game against the Bulls. Irving is recovering from a right foot injury. And ESPN's Brian Windhorst has thoughts on what the team might offer Irving to stay in town.
I do think the Dallas Mavericks are prepared to offer Kyrie Irving a maximum salary, but I'm not so sure they're willing to offer him maximum years. Which would be 5 years, $270 million.
Brian Windhorst on KJ and Max. Dallas needs to win its last 2 games and get help to get into the play-in tournament. Giannis Antetokounmpo of the Bucks is out for tonight against the Grizzlies with a sore right knee, one of several Milwaukee players sitting out. The Grizzlies will clinch the 2 seed in the West with a win in that game tonight.
How would you love a chance to save some money on car insurance? Geico can help. Switch today and see all the ways you could save with great rates and discounts. It's easy. Simply go to geico.com to get a rate quote and get started seeing how much you could save.
Thunder, feel the thunder. Lightning and the thunder. Thunder, feel the thunder.
We're playing Song About Thunder because we are in another rain delay. The rain coming in here, hitting us during the show. Wow, Coley. We're in another rain delay at Augusta at the Masters. Brooks Koepka, a 4-shot lead. Canty and Carlin, ESPN Radio, ESPN app. Sirius XM Channel 80. You can listen on your smart speaker. All you have to do is ask to play ESPN Radio. Here comes, get the thunder ready. Here comes the sports god down from the heavens. 888 say ESPN is our number, 888-729-3776. And the sports god Coley has declared that we celebrate and honor The Sandlot, which came out 30 years ago today. And I think it's one of the best, though not the best, baseball movie of all time.
I have to go with the best. And my reasoning is this. Look, I know. But the thing is, I was a little bit younger than the kids in the movie at the time that the movie came out. So I've watched The Sandlot easily hundreds of times in my life. And it always brings back such fond memories of not just the movie, but even playing in the backyard with my friends. I mean, I was a baseball guy before anything else, and I still am. That's my favorite sport. So The Sandlot is my number 1 baseball movie. Yes, technically there are better baseball movies that were made, but it's still my number 1.
So, I mean, first of all, I thought Moneyball was great. And at Major League, just in terms of like building the drama for a moment and Just as someone who's Major League 2.
I'm kidding.
As somebody who's biased and in Cleveland, the reality is, like, for many years, the Major League last at bat was the greatest moment in Indians' modern history, going all the way back to the greatest game your team ever played was actually in a movie until 95 and 97 when they made the World Series. All right, I have a couple of nitpicks with the Sandlot. Can we go through a couple of these and then? Okay, first of all. The Babe Ruth autographed baseball.
Yes.
I find it very hard to believe.
Yes, I'm with you.
That they hadn't heard of Babe Ruth, and then that no one said, "Oh, look who signed this ball," before it got clubbed over the fence so that the Beast could protect it. Like, no one noticed that the ball was signed and who it was signed by. This didn't occur to anybody.
I don't care who you are, whether you're a kid or an adult. First thing you do when you look at a baseball, a brand new shiny baseball, you're rolling it around in your hand. You're feeling the seams, you're reading everything on it. And if you're a kid that sees not Baby, but Babe Ruth, what are you going to do? Why are you going to play with that ball? So I'm absolutely with you on that.
Totally unbelievable. And then once you hit that ball over the wall, I mean, I don't care how afraid you are of the neighbor or of the James Earl Jones guy who lives in the house. I'm sorry you're knocking on the door and you're getting your Babe Ruth autographed baseball back in 2 freaking seconds 100%. And not building some kind of crazy erector set that makes for a better movie but a much less plausible plot line.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing. It's 100% pure fiction. That's the reason why you got to go through all the machinations, telling the ghost story of the man who lives next door and the beast that lived next door. You got to play up that drama. That's part of the charm of the movie. Is it believable? Absolutely not.
Here is my third thing. In 2023, if Squints tries to pull that move with Wendy Peppercorn, hauled away
in handcuffs.
Handcuffs. Agree or disagree?
100% agree, even if he's 11 years old or whatever. Different time. You can't do that. Not now.
Nope. That is it. Certainly you're not going to get married to her later, which is one of the most improbable. Okay, then the end. I know everybody likes, Benny the Jet Rodriguez pinch running at third and stealing home as a Los Angeles Dodger or whatever. But if Benny the Jet was really that good of a player, why is he pinch running? Like, if he's got enough speed to steal home, wouldn't he be starting the game and playing center field?
Can't he hit a double or something or a triple to start off a rally? Hit a bomb deep in the yard. I don't know. Do something to show off that he was still a good ball player, not just a fast ball player. I'm with you on that. But again, it's still a great movie. I love it.
Look, I'm not taking anything. It is a great movie. It's just, as I've grown up, these are the things that maybe I just can't enjoy things anymore. But these are the things that bother me. And then my last one is, okay, you're James Earl Jones. You're however old he's supposed to be in the movie. A 96-year-old blind guy or whatever. I don't care how nice these kids are. And I don't care how bad you feel for them. If you have a baseball signed by the entire 1927 Yankees, you're not handing that to an 11-year-old under any That ball belongs in a museum in Cooperstown, New York, not in someone's closet, and certainly not in the hands of some grubby little 11-year-old kid who didn't know who Babe Ruth was 10 minutes ago.
That is the funny part, though. The kid didn't know who he was, and you're still going to give him the ball. I just like how he's like, oh, George? You talking about George? Oh yeah, I know George.
George. I'm sure a lot of people called Babe Ruth George during his playing career.
But he played against Babe, according to the legend of the movie. So, he knew George real well.
Would you celebrate a Sandlot 2?
There is a Sandlot 2.
What? No.
Yes, there's a Sandlot. There is a Sandlot 2.
What happens in Sandlot 2?
Nowhere near as good. To be honest, I don't even really remember the plot line because it was just that bad of a movie. But nowhere near.
Who's in it? The great Hambino? Does Hambino come back? Or
no, I don't think any of the kids. I'm pretty sure. I don't think any of the kids
at it. Then I can't say that it's really another Sandlot.
I think Squints might be in it, but not as that character. I think he's a different character. This is me going off of memory from however long it's been since that movie came out.
All right. Well, I'm going to have to dig in and watch some clips from the Sandlot 2. In the meantime, did a walk-off home run put one player deep in the doghouse? We'll talk about that next. I'm Aaron Goldhammer. He's Coley Harvey. This is Canty and Carlin on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
The 2023 NFL Draft.
So you ready for the draft? Let's get started.
Live from downtown Kansas City, Missouri.
The NFL Draft is officially open.
It all begins with round 1, Thursday, April 27th on ESPN Radio, ESPN, and on ABC.
With the first pick.
The Hoop Collective Podcast.
I'm at our ESPN LA studios. You may remember that Bev did a couple of days of work for ESPN last year.
No, I remember. I was on with him.
He left a gorgeous Dolce & Gabbana suit here that is just spectacular.
You should wear it on TV today, Brian.
I do not believe it will fit me, only because the arms are too long. You're across the street. Come over and get it. It's got to be at least a $7,000 suit.
The Hoop Collective Podcast. Listen on the ESPN app or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Guys, fellas, men, are you Roman ready for the weekend? Right now, generic Viagra, aka Sildenafil, is just $4 per dose at Roman. Just complete a free online visit with a U.S. licensed healthcare professional. If medication is appropriate, Roman sends what you need in discreet packaging with free 2-day shipping. Generic Viagra from $4 at Roman. Go to ro.co/weekend. Do it today and get 20% off your entire first order. That's ro.co/weekend.
Morning bird walks are back at Urbana Park District at the Anita Purvis Nature Center, 1505 North Broadway in Urbana from 7:30 to 9 a.m. every Sunday through the end of May. Meet at the Nature Center, go on a walk through Busey Woods and Crystal Lake Park, and look for our feathered friends. A guide will lead you on your bird walking adventure. No bird watching experience is necessary. It's a free event. For details, call 217-384-4062. Urbana Park District, you belong here.
If you received unemployment, your tax bill will be different than during the COVID pandemic. I'm Hillary Barsky with your Fox Business Tax Tip coming up after this.
Kelly's Accounting does all tax types, individual, corporate, trust, partnerships, and estate, plus payroll and bookkeeping services. Your guardian angel in the finance department. Call their Monticello office, 762-5509, or visit kellysaccounting.com.
Unlike at the beginning of the pandemic in 2020, unemployment is now fully taxable. Tax attorney and CPA Alan J. Strauss explains.
During COVID, you had an exclusion. The government passed a law that allowed you to get $10,200 worth of unemployment tax-free on your federal return. That law is no longer with us, and every dollar you get for unemployment is fully taxable on a U.S. return.
Depending on where you live, states may give you a break on unemployment, so check your state status before filing. Hillary Barsky, Fox News.
Hi, this is Chris Jackson with Kramer Siding and Window. And whatever your project, you can count on Kramer Siding to offer you the best products backed by the best warranties in the business and a lifetime of great customer service. And right now, you can save 10% on roofing, sunrooms, and decks, get 15% off gutter helmet, and you can save 25% on preservation siding, windows, and doors. So call today or visit us at kramersiding.com and let's get started on your project.
Please join the CU Autism Network Saturday, April 15th for their 12th annual walk and resource fair at the Savoy Recreation Center. There will be inflatables, a mobile sensory museum, food vendors, a quiet area, and a silent auction. Check-in is at 11:30 and the walk begins at 2 p.m.
Hi, this is Diane Ducey with Stevie J Broadcasting. My son Aiden and I will be a part of the Autism Walk on Saturday the 15th once again.
For more information, to volunteer, sponsor, or to register for the walk April 15th, visit cuautismnetwork.com.
It's time for spring cleaning. Do you have unwanted furniture, appliances, home accessories, or building materials? Does your business have overstock or obsolete inventory? Donate your new or gently used items to Habitat for Humanity Restore. The sale of your donated items to the public at budget-friendly prices reduces landfill waste, helps families in our community as they gain access to affordable housing. Call today for a free donation pickup. 217-359-0507. For details, visit CUHabitat.org.
Ready, Set, Connect. This is a free series of developmental checkups throughout Champaign County for children from birth to age 5.
Trained developmental screeners like me, Bobby Webb from Developmental Service Center, will be in numerous locations throughout the month of April to test fine and gross motor skills, social, communication, and problem-solving skills. This is free to area families thanks to Birth to 5 grant funding and the United Way of Champaign County.
For details on our free developmental checkups in April, visit ChampaignCountyHomeVisiting.com.
Hula Hands is having some fun with Ebertfest coming to town. April 14th through the 22nd, Roger Ebert's favorite chili or the Calabrese flatbread will start your meal off right. Inspired by Pulp Fiction in 1994, the Big Kahuna Hawaiian burger, Holo a la Pancha, is inspired by Moonlight in 2016. Fun to have the famous Kardashians salad too. Enjoy the Ebertfest special drink menu. Gone with the Gin, Noah's Last Kiss, remember The Notebook? Upscale French 75, Wings from 1927, and Rome with a View, keeping in mind from 1953, Roman Holiday. It's the Ebertfest special menu, April 17th through the 22nd. Plus, Hula Hands is a great choice for Mom's Weekend, April 14th and 15th, with some fantastic shareables, cocktails, and mocktails at Hula Hands First in St. Mary.
Hi, it's Stevie J. Sit back and relax and take the drive with Lon Tay and Derek Piper. Weekdays 4 to 6 right here on ESPN Radio 93.5.
Doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, forhims.com/joy. That's forhims.com/joy for your free online visit. forhims.com/JOY.
And the pitch. Hit in the air to right and deep. Get up! Get up! Get out of here! Gone for Garrett Mitchell! He just hit a walk-off out of here! And the Brewers have swept the New York Mets!
It went from the greatest day of Garrett Mitchell's life to him being in the doghouse real quick. It's Canty and Carlin on ESPN Radio, ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80 on your smart speaker. You can tell it to play ESPN Radio. 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. We'll have more on this story coming up, but we're just looking at footage right now, Coley, of a tree that collapsed behind the 15th green at Augusta National. We're in a weather delay, but it looks like a gust of wind came and knocked over. And I'm not talking about a small tree. This is a massive tree that went down. So we'll keep you updated what's going on at Augusta and how that might affect the tournament. And obviously hoping that nobody got hurt when this tree went down. We'll keep you posted what's going on there. In the meantime, you heard the highlight there from WTMJ in Milwaukee. Garrett Mitchell of the Brewers hits a walk-off home run. He's feeling great. He's feeling good. He's feeling awesome. And then all of a sudden he does this in the post-game interview. Take a listen.
You showed that bunt early in the at-bat. What, you're just trying to get on and get a rally going, decided a homer would settle it instead?
You know, I was thinking about this, but when my wife doesn't show up to the games, usually something good happens. So going into that at-bat, I was like, man, well, she's not here, so might as well do something fun.
Hey, Aaron, I'm not married, so I can't really speak to this, but I don't think I could do that to my wife in front of, a stadium full of people and thousands of people watching on TV and now on the internet. I don't think I could do that.
So Haley Mitchell, Garrett's wife, tweeted back at this video, which was posted by Bally Sports Wisconsin. "You won't say it to my face, though." And then she responded to another tweet and said, "He did not stutter. Meanwhile, I missed the game because I was busy stocking his fridge." So it's kind of hard to tell, if you're Haley Mitchell, I don't know if you're laughing at this or if you're angry at this, but I guarantee you're not showing up at another game for a while, right?
Yeah, I think if I'm the Brewers, I say stay away, just because good things are clearly happening, if you're superstitious that way, of course.
So do you think, Garrett, is it a superstition thing that you think is going on here, or do you think he's saying, okay, my wife is here, squeezing the bat a little tighter. I'm pressing. I can't relax because I feel like I want to perform so well and impress her.
I think it's a superstition. Again, I'm not a pro athlete. I've never been a pro athlete, never will be a pro athlete. Unfortunately, I'd love to, but I don't think that an athlete is standing in the batter's box at that moment. Oh my gosh, my wife is here. I'm nervous. I can't disappoint her. I don't think that's happening. I think it's just purely one of those things that they've probably joked about sitting around at home like, oh yeah, you didn't show up and I went 3 for 4 today with a homer and a triple or something, and so it's taken on a life of its own among them. But now the rest of the world knows, and she's just gonna have to stay away at this point if you're pulling for that team.
Dominic tweeted at this video with Sophia Minnaert, who is the interviewer from the Brewers television network. After making the joke with Sophia, Garrett joked that he plays better when Haley isn't at the ballpark. Garrett made sure to say he's excited to spend the off day with her, to which Haley Cruz Mitchell responded, trying not to sleep on the couch. Is that a thing? You're not the right person to answer this because you said it. You're not married.
Right.
My wife has been really mad at me before. Never once has she said, I'm going to make you go sleep on the couch. Now, maybe we have a king-size bed, so maybe, she'll be sleeping way on one side to send a message. But never once have I had to go and actually sleep on the couch. Stash is producing with us today, and he joins the show. Stash, you got headphones for a second? I just wanted to ask another married guy. Stash, have you ever actually had to sleep on the couch? No, right? Is that something that actually ever happens?
I'm sure it does. It has not happened to me, thank God.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like such an old school punishment to try to put on somebody to sleep on the couch, but I don't know how practical in the end it really is. But I do think if it's legit that he plays better with her not there, sorry.
Hey, you gotta
stay home.
Yeah. I do like the fact that she came back and said, hey, look, I was doing something for you. Don't forget about that. That's the reason I wasn't there.
Yeah. It's fans believe in these crazy game day superstition things. I always laugh at fans, I'll be watching a game with that say things aren't going well and they get up and they switch seats. Come on. Do you really believe that there is some higher power saying, the Orioles are likely to have a better day today because you're not sitting in the same spot on the couch that you were sitting in last week? Yeah. These are the nutty things that sports, let alone fans, but also players believe in these crazy superstitions.
It goes back to that moment when you're a kid. I just think about myself. I'm from Atlanta. I grew up a big Braves fan, and I didn't mean to rub some salt in the wound, but you mentioned 95 in Cleveland the last segment. So that was a great memory for me. David Justice hitting the home run in the 6th inning of Game 6 of the World Series that year. Great memory for me.
Yeah, pretty big Eric Gregg strike zone in that game.
Hey, Eric Gregg got the Braves back 2 years later, though, in 97 in the NLCS. So, but no, I had those moments as a kid growing up. I would stay in the exact same spot. I would do the exact same thing as long as a guy didn't strike out or whatever. I'm going to stay in that spot. I felt like I was having some kind of control.
So somehow in the back of your mind,
I don't think that way.
In the back of your mind, David Justice was like, a young Coley Harvey is standing in the same. I think it is time for me to smash a giant home run now. Or as if there's some karmic energy. You know what it is? As fans, you have no say over how the game goes at all. And you're trying to trick your brain into thinking that you actually do have some impact or some way of conveying a certain energy to make something happen in a game.
Yeah, there's no sense. I mean, that's like I said. As a kid, I was that way.
Yeah.
I was that way watching Sandlot.
Oh, I know grown 50-year-old men watching the Cleveland Browns that do this. Tune in NL Battle Sunday as the Braves, speaking of the Braves, host the Padres. Coverage of Sunday Night Baseball, 6 o'clock Eastern on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, 7 o'clock on ESPN. Who are the most dangerous play-in teams in the NBA? We discuss next on ESPN Radio.
Finding great people to hire is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's pretty difficult, right? Well, ZipRecruiter has mastered finding a needle in a haystack, so they take it to the next level. They make hiring so simple that it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. And that's why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Here's what it's like to use ZipRecruiter. They have so many qualified candidates that it's easier to find the right ones for your roles. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's a lot of needles. So how do they do it? ZipRecruiter's powerful technology sends you candidates who are a great match for your job, and you can even invite your top choices to apply. So if you want less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/FREE. ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Looking to eat healthier and buy locally? Savannah Ridge Farms in Indianola, Illinois has been expanding their yak herd for nearly 2 years, offering local farm-to-table meat containing absolutely no antibiotics, no hormones, or steroids. Savannah Ridge Farms is raising 100% all-natural yaks that feed on organic grass and hay in chemical-free open land. Yak meat is one of the best sources of protein and is nearly 100% fat-free. So if you want healthy, nutrient-dense, vitamin-packed red meat without the worry of how it got to your plate, visit SavannahRidgeFarms.com and check out their Facebook page. They deliver to Champaign and Vermilion counties, and you can also pick them up at their farm. Visit SavannahRidgeFarms.com for incredibly healthy yak meat. That's SavannahRidgeFarms.com, SavannahRidgeFarms.com.
Racing action is back! It's opening night at the Farmers City Raceway in Farmers City, Illinois. This Friday, late models, modifieds, pro-lates, and street stocks. Gates open at 4 p.m., hot laps at 6:30, qualifying at 7, and the racing begins at 7:30 in Farmers City, Illinois. General admission just $12. Kids 12 and under, as always, are free. It's opening night for the Farmers City Raceway. Don't miss the action, where we'll sell you the whole seat, but you only need the edge.
Next week on an all-new Law and Order. Order! We convene here for case 217, Spring Green versus Weeds. Spring Green, the floor is yours.
The weeds are infectious. The weeds steal the beauty from your lawn. We offer personalized lawn care, a mid-season checkup, and a simple and transparent process. Just click on to spring-green.com for a quote.
Okay, Spring Green wins. Weeds, you're out.
That's spring-green.com.
Here's what one shopper said about Pard's Western Shop in Urbana, 306 North Maple, between Maine and University. He said, sure, you can find boots at some big box stores, but nothing like Pard's selections. They're unique, they're local, and they have an excellent store. So many people that visit Pard's in Urbana say the same thing. Pard's in Urbana, 306 North Maple, you can find the best boots in the world and shop local. Visit pards.com, pards.com.
Racing action is back! It's opening night at the Farmers City Raceway in Farmers City, Illinois. This Friday, late models, modifieds, pro-lates, and street stocks. Gates open at 4 p.m., hot laps at 6:30, qualifying at 7, and the racing begins at 7:30 in Farmers City, Illinois. General admission just $12. Kids 12 and under, as always, are free. It's opening night for the Farmers City Raceway. Don't miss the action, where we'll sell you the whole seat, but you only need the edge.
Hi, I'm Troy Lands from Lands Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. Right now at Lands, it's a great time to buy a new Trane heating and cooling system. We are offering special financing or up to $1,500 off any qualifying Trane system. At Lands, we know what it takes to deliver exceptional comfort, and we offer a 100% satisfaction guarantee. So if you are thinking of a new comfort system, now is the time to buy. And remember, it's hard to stop a Trane. I'm Troy Lands, and you can count on my company because you can count on me.
Subject to credit approval, see store for details.
Let Max Twin City Recycling pay you for your junk metal items. As the weather begins to heat up, now is a great time to put cash in your pocket for the steel, copper, brass, and aluminum items you've been meaning to get rid of. We've recently added a large concrete pad to make unloading quicker and cleaner for our customers. Visit us on North Lincoln Avenue, just north of I-74, or at maxrecycling.com.
Starting it over is what we do at Max Twin City Recycling.
Hi, this is Chris Jackson with Kramer Siding and Window. And whatever your project, you can count on Kramer Siding to offer you the best products backed by the best warranties in the business, as well as Central Illinois employees dedicated to providing you with professional installation and a lifetime of great customer service. And right now, you can save 10% on roofing, sunrooms, and decks, get 15% off gutter helmet, and you can save 25% on preservation siding, windows, and doors. So call today or visit us at kramersiding.com and let's get started on your project.
Hey, Illini fans, it's Mike Greenberg. Catch Lonte and Derek Piper weekdays from 4 to 6 right here on ESPN Radio 93.5.
Well, the Celtics' path through the 76ers looks much tougher. And I know the Bucks have their own injury issues, but the fact is they have a coach that's been there before, that knows how to maximize the moment, and they have the MVP in my mind. They have the best player in the NBA. That's going to matter in this championship run. And having been there before is going to matter as well. That's why I'm all in on those two teams. With the ESPN Radio Sports Beat from Fitz and Harry, I'm Jason Fitz.
You're listening to WSJK ESPN 93.5 Tuscola, Champaign-Urbana, your home for the St. Louis Cardinals.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. Second round play at the Masters in a weather delay at Augusta National. Not long after the horn sounded, two huge pine trees came down in heavy winds right in front of the 17th tee. No injuries reported. Brooks Koepka holds the lead at 12 under. He leads by 3 over Jon Rahm and by 4 over amateur Sam Bennett. Phil Mickelson shoots 69 today. He's at 4 under. Tiger Woods is 2 over trying to make the cut. The Celtics host the Raptors tonight. Boston will be the 2 seed in the East. Celtics guard Jaylen Brown talks about his future.
I want to win a championship, of course. I think that's what every player and every athlete plays the game for, is to win. So that would be nice to start.
Do you want to do that in Boston?
Absolutely. Why not? I think we got a great opportunity.
Jaylen Brown with Jason Fitz on Key J and Max. Brown has a year left on his contract. UConn sophomore guard Jordan Hawkins announces on ESPN's NBA Today he'll enter the June draft. He averaged 16 points a game for the national champs.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. They're close, convenient, and have the parts you need fast, along with excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
If you haven't take problems, I feel bad for you, son. I got 99 problems, but Chris ain't one. Hit me.
This is Canty and Carlin on ESPN Radio. You can also listen to the show on the ESPN app, your smart speaker, and on SiriusXM Channel 80.
Couple of updates from Augusta National as we go. Canty and Carlin, ESPN Radio, ESPN app. I'm Aaron Goldhammer. He is Coley Harvey. You can hear us SiriusXM Channel 80, or you can just ask your smart speaker, play ESPN Radio. We're presented by Progressive. Brooks Koepka has the lead. It's 4 shots, and the weather has certainly turned at Augusta. In fact, after they blew the horn to stop play mid-second round, a couple of trees, and this was really scary, Coley, went down behind 15 and right by the 17th tee. So it's behind 15 green and 17 tee. Remember, 16 is a par 3 that's sort of set in between those two holes. If you've ever been to Augusta, you kind of know what I'm saying. These huge pine trees. And I'm not talking about like a little twig. I'm talking about a huge, massive tree that must weigh tons. Somehow got uprooted. Now, the winds must have been really severe. But the most amazing part of this, Coley, because when I saw it, I was afraid some people got smushed. I guess no injuries, according to our Michael Eaves, who's reporting there for SportsCenter. No injuries reported in this.
Yeah, it's unreal. And again, being from the state of Georgia, I know those tall pines, those tall trees. I remember a few years ago, we had a hurricane that came through the Atlanta area and uprooted a tree in my parents' backyard. And it's amazing that it didn't even fall in the house, but that was a very real threat. So just imagining that there were people that had to run for safety. Thank goodness it seems like everybody's okay.
And it seems like there'll be some debris to clean up, but that's an easy thing to do as opposed to, worrying about someone getting crushed. I mean, it's a really dangerous situation. So I'm glad it looks like they've got everybody moving off the property now at Augusta. Players, officials, patrons, everybody included. And then it's going to be interesting to see if they can finish up the tournament, because now they didn't even get through the second round, and we're going into a day on Saturday where the weather's supposed to be really even worse until we get through Sunday. So we could be looking at, I don't want to jinx this, but we could be looking at our first Monday finish at Augusta in, I don't know, like 40 years, something like that, if the weather continues to look the way that it looks right now. Canty and Carlin, ESPN Radio, ESPN app. I'm Aaron Goldhammer with Coley Harvey. Back to the NBA. This is the first year where I think the play-in tournament has intrigue, because there are teams that are going to be in the play-in who some people are going to be making the case could actually make a run from the play-in all the way to the NBA Finals.
I've been making it all afternoon.
Some real stars, right, that are going to be playing in the play-in tournament as we go through the week next week in all likelihood.
Yeah, we're talking the number one team in my eyes that we're talking about when you mention that is the Warriors. Golden State is a very real possibility of slipping into that play-in tournament, depending on how things shake out here in the next 2 days. But if that happens, oh my gosh, that is a team that just because of its experience in the postseason is so well positioned to go on a long run, despite having to basically fight for its playoff life here in the opening week of the playoffs.
So there's a Sacramento-Memphis 2-seed versus 3-seed thing going on tonight. And to try to figure out 5 through 9 in the West, I mean, it looks like OKC or Dallas is going to be the 10 seed. Dallas is kind of tanking, which we'll talk about why in a second. But trying to figure out who's going to finish 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, it's a math problem that I don't think even the NBA is ready to quite compute. So how would you rank all these teams, Coley? Clippers, Warriors, Lakers, Pelicans, Timberwolves are the 5 teams who are all in this mix. And right now, like one game in the loss column separates 5th place from like 9th place. Yeah. It's wild.
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, again, I think Golden State is at the top of that heap. The Lakers, I know what you're saying about feeding the beast, so to speak, here at ESPN, but the Lakers are playing a lot better basketball in the last couple of weeks, winning 7 of their last 9 games. I think they could be a team to watch in the play-in tournament. Who knows? Clippers, who knows? Maybe they're Thunder, who knows? Maybe they're in the mix as well that way. I think the team in the East to watch, and maybe this is my hometown homerism, but the Hawks. I mean, they've started kind of playing some better basketball. They've won 4 of their last 5, 6 of their last 7 at home. And tonight they're playing at home. So that's a good thing for them, playing against the Sixers, a team that's going to be sitting its starters, you would imagine, as well. But I think to me in the East, that's one of the teams that's really intriguing to me in the possible play-in tournament.
Well, I mean, I guess Trae is always dangerous. Of all the guys that have run the play-in tournament, put Trae Young near the top of the list. They'll play likely Miami in a 7-8 matchup, and then Toronto and Chicago are the other 2 teams in the East. I don't think anybody, to me, Miami is the one team that just isn't afraid of anybody, really, right? Because they made the run last year. They were the number 1 seed last year. They're so veteran-laden, from Bam Adebayo to Jimmy Butler to Eric Spoelstra, who's championship-level coach. If I had to pick one team in the East that I thought could pull an upset, it would be the Heat.
I think you're right. And I was covering the Eastern Conference Finals last year when it was Heat Celtics, and that Game 7, I mean, the whole series was unreal. Of course, there were a couple of games in there that were clunkers, but for the most part, the entire series was really emotional, really dramatic, and then, of course, ending the way that it did there in Miami. And just because of how that team performed so deep in the playoffs, and they're pretty much, as far as the key guys, same team. So I would have to think that, that's another team primed for a run as well.
It's funny. Right now, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the West is on the surface more dangerous than the top 3. Denver, Memphis, Sacramento. I don't know if anybody takes any of those teams seriously.
Yeah.
4, 5, 6, 7 is Phoenix, Clippers, Warriors, Lakers. It's literally Durant, Kawhi, Steph, and LeBron are 4, 5, 6, 7 in the West. And so I'm more liable to say, just based on history and knowing how star players affect everything, that one of those teams is more likely to be representing the West in the finals than one of the top 3 teams.
I think so too. Because the thing about it too is there's so many question marks about some of those top teams in the West. We heard Tim Bontemps talking to us about his concerns with the Nuggets. Memphis has had such turmoil the last few weeks with player personnel and things happening off the court.
Yeah,
and
everything
then the
with
Kings, and then the Kings you just don't know because they haven't been in this spot in 20 years.
Totally. And I think Phoenix, I don't know. My background in history says a couple things. The Nuggets have never done anything in the playoffs. I don't know. They upset the Clippers and went to the conference finals in the bubble. That was pretty impressive. And then the last couple of years, they've been knocked out by the eventual champions.
Yeah.
But last year, the Warriors and then the Western Conference champions in Phoenix the year before that. So I'm not sure it's fair to say, what is the year where they've fallen flat on their face and have been upset by somebody? I'm not sure I could really point one out. Certainly they're under a lot of pressure this year, but I think they should be the favorite to me in the West. I don't know about a team that's trying to piece itself together in the playoffs, which is what Phoenix is doing. The Clippers, I just keep waiting. Is Kawhi going to load manage during a playoff series? If they go up 2-0, I'd imagine Game 3, he's probably not playing, right? I mean, you take the night off. You can't ask Kawhi to work 3 times in a week? No way. He's not going to do that.
I just kind of go back to the Denver question. This is a team that we just have not wanted to pay attention to for some time. And what's kind of funny is the metric that you just used, talking about how they essentially lost to the defending Western Conference representative. Right. I mean, that's the same metric that we just used with the Heat, right? This is a team that went on that nice run last year. Fell apart to the team that ended up going to the the NBA Finals from the East. So I think you do have to take the Nuggets for what they are, give them credit for what they've done the last several years, and give them credit for what they've done this year. I mentioned it earlier. I don't know if people really, outside of basketball, maybe deep in the game, but outside of the game, I don't think people really understood that the Nuggets were as good as they've been this year, just consistently throughout the season.
You want a crazy stat? How many teams in the West do you think are over 500 on the road?
Ooh, on the road?
I'm just looking at this because I had the standings up with what we were talking about. How many teams in the West are over 500 on the road?
I know it's a low number, so how about we go with 3?
The answer is 1.
1. The Nuggets.
Who do you think it's not the Nuggets? They're 19-21 on the road. Memphis has been terrible also.
Yeah.
Who's the one team over 500 in the West on the road?
Are you telling me it's the Kings?
The Sacramento Kings are 25-15 on the road. They're the only 500 team on the road in the Western Conference this year. Canty and Carlin is on ESPN Radio. The Clippers are 20-20, so they're right at 500.
But it's on the road in the postseason where it matters, because those home crowds, they really do feed the drama of the moment in the playoffs. So that's going to be key for Sacramento.
We are brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel.
CJ Stroud being a pro-ready guy, the accuracy and how he moves around in the pocket and works within the pocket and the type of throws he makes, and he has been killing it in the pre-draft process.
He came out, his first 20 throws were verticals. It's fine to get a completion in a pro day, but when almost every single throw is placed perfectly, that says something.
This young man has to be 1 or 1A. I just don't see how he couldn't be, considering both the mental and physical makeup and the physical skills.
I'm Aaron Goldhammer. He's Coley Harvey. We're in for the guys on Canty and Carlin. So we're 20 days away now from the Panthers going on the clock with the first pick in the NFL draft. And it seems like the buzz now is leaning towards Bryce Young being the number 1 pick in the draft. And the big question, Coley, if that happens is then what the Texans would do it too, because they've been eyeing Bryce Young, it feels like, for a year now.
Yeah, and they should. I still feel like he is, of the quarterbacks that we've been discussing just for the last few months, he is the most complete. He is the most game ready. I know Will Levis was getting so much attention early on, and I had a chance to see one of his games early in the season, last college football season at Kentucky. Saw him at Penn State even when he was a backup there. I just still don't think that some of these other quarterbacks who are at that top echelon, I don't think they have those intangibles that Bryce Young has. Sure, he's got the size issues, but as we've seen with some other quarterbacks in this league, Drew Brees, we've seen quarterbacks bounce back from that natural issue of
especially
being 5'10"
in the West
and below.
and the South. I don't know about a guy at 5'10" playing in bad weather, but I think Bryce Young's going to be the rookie of the year. I just wonder about his long-term durability at that size in the league. Yeah. But I understand, too, why the Texans really want him. And if he goes number one, is there a way they wouldn't take a quarterback? Is there a way they'd trade down? All of these questions were posed to ESPN NFL draft analyst Todd McShay, who was on with Fitz and Harry earlier today. Take a listen.
If that happens, Arizona would be bummed that they're not getting Will Anderson, but they'd be thrilled at the haul that they would get for that number 3 pick, because you've got the Colts. All of a sudden, everyone's assuming it's Stroud Young or Young Stroud 1-2. And I know that the Colts would be interested in moving to 3. Vegas doesn't want to move up for any quarterback, as I mentioned, outside of Young and Stroud. So if Young's sitting there or Stroud sitting there, now they're back in the market. Seattle sitting at 5, they would have interest in moving up. Tennessee at 11, Washington 16, 19, Tampa Bay. You would have 5 or 6 different teams looking to put together packages real quickly to try to move up to that number 3 spot with Arizona, and the Cardinals would sit back and just take the best deal.
Canty and Carlin, ESPN Radio, ESPN app. I'm Aaron Goldhammer with Coley Harvey. Yeah, it seems to me like there is a world in which the Texans would be the one to trade. Of all the teams, they're the ones that need to acquire a bunch of picks to fill a bunch of holes on their roster.
Right. And those spots should go to not just receivers to get, whoever the quarterback's going to be to get that help there, but also on defense. You're talking about a defensive guy, and DeMeco Ryans, a new head coach. And that was what Todd was referencing there when he said all of a sudden Will Anderson is gone and the Cardinals would feel so bad, because Anderson to me is the most complete defensive player in this draft, and I think that he would warrant being taken second overall. But yeah, if you're some of those other teams, if you're that team that is picking 3, if you are Arizona, all of a sudden now you're getting those phone calls, and I think that is a very enviable position to be in.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be 1-2, either Young Stroud or Stroud Young. I think Todd is 1,000% right about that. It's just the thirst for quarterbacks is so intense that if the Texans decide they don't want to take one, that they're not just going to draft a defensive player. They'll be the team that ends up trading down. So I think the quarterbacks go 1-2. And then Will Levis could be good. I am not a believer at all in Anthony Richardson. I could be dead wrong, and the guy is super, super talented. Here's what I know. People that watched him at the Combine love him. People that watched him at Florida say, stay the hell away from Anthony Richardson. Yeah. And in one place, he's running around in shorts, and in the other place, he's running around with a football helmet on. So,
but this is kind of the difficulty with that position. What is it that you're looking for as a franchise in terms of your quarterback? What do you want your quarterback to be able to do? Is he going to be that guy who's going to give you the level of mobility where you can do almost anything? Is he going to be your gunslinger and just sit back and throw it? What exactly do you want your guy to do? And I think that's where this will become interesting in terms of Richards, in terms of Anthony specifically, who's going to end up getting him, because they've got to have their system tailored in such a specific way. And that's, we've had the Lamar Jackson debate, of course, in terms of what the Ravens have and have not done to build around him. And that's where this goes with him. I'm a believer right now. Everything that I saw at Florida, I still feel convinced that he could be a winner, just given the right situation. And that's the $1 million question, is exactly who that is.
Isn't that always the most underrated and most important thing? I mean, if Pat Mahomes didn't end up with Andy Reid, would he be Patrick Mahomes?
That's a fair question.
If Mitchell Trubisky had ended up with Andy Reid instead, how would his career have gone differently? Sometimes guys just end up in the perfect places for them. Yeah. Josh Allen in Buffalo is a match made in heaven, especially once he got Brian Daboll there. He took another. Jalen Hurts getting to go to Philadelphia. That's a great situation for him to be. Had he gone to the Bears, would he be as good as he is? So matching him up with the right team is always really important. From what you're hearing, just with your NFL insider knowledge, what pick do you think is the first non-quarterback going to go?
Oh my gosh. That's a good question.
What pick number? Because everybody's thinking, okay, top two quarterbacks go 2. Arizona trades down, quarterback goes 3rd. And then maybe the 4th one ends up going 4th. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, wait, say the question one more time. You're saying what non-quarterback position?
Yeah, so give me the pick number where the first non-quarterback goes.
I think 3. Yeah,
okay.
I think 3. Again, I'm thinking defensive front.
Mm-hmm. And the thirst for those guys is pretty real, too. I just wonder, so Arizona, if they have the opportunity to trade down, someone's going to want a quarterback. And then if it's not the Colts, I think the Colts could sit there and take a quarterback. So I'm telling you, I don't think this has ever happened before. I could see a world where the quarterbacks go 1, 2, 3, 4.
Ooh, wow. I mean, all of those teams need quarterbacks. I just feel like there's going to be some jockeying going on, whether it's in the couple of days leading up to the draft or, draft night itself. We're going to have some changing of the guard in terms of those 4 spots. I don't think it's going to be what the order is right now. I don't think that's what the order is going to be when they're actually picking.
Well, one other thought I had on this is just I hear that beyond even Caleb Williams, that the quarterback class in 2024 is supposed to be all-time epically great, and not just one player being great. I know the kid, what's his name, May at North Carolina, everybody really likes. Mm-hmm. So there are a number of them, not just one. I think that's a dangerous game to play, but I do hear that there are teams that are considering how good that quarterback class is when they try to figure out who they're going to draft in 2023. Up next, Coley and I will have a chance to play one of our favorite games, Respect It or Check It, and we will get to that next here on Canty and Carlin on ESPN Radio. In the meantime, if springtime is kicking your hiring season into full bloom, then you need to head over to Indeed. Their powerful all-in-one hiring platform makes it simple to attract, interview, and hire candidates all in one place. Just sponsor a post, get matched instantly with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed meet your job description. You can even conveniently schedule and conduct virtual video interviews right from the Indeed website. Visit Indeed.com/credit. Get $75 towards your sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Coming up Monday, with up to 5 quarterbacks predicted to go in the first round, Key's going to tell you if any of them will be ready to start week 1. Keyshawn J. Willimax, Monday morning on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
This is Buster Olney, host of the Baseball Tonight podcast, inviting you to join us. We go 3 days a week with great guests from players such as Mike Trout and Carlos Correa, managers like Dusty Baker and Dave Roberts, general managers like Brian Cashman and Alex Anthopoulos, and our regulars, Tim Kirkchin, Sarah Langs, Jeff Pass, and Carl Rabbit. Baseball is a great fishbowl of humanity, and we go big game fishing every day. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Wendy's $3 breakfast deal is a bacon or sausage egg croissant plus small seasoned potatoes for $3. It's the breakfast that don't miss. So if you did miss Wendy's breakfast, don't imagine fresh cracked eggs, sizzling sausage, crispy bacon, and block out those hot, buttery, flaky croissants. Croissants don't really make a sound, but if they did, for a breakfast that don't miss, Wendy's is that breakfast. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's $3 breakfast deal.
Limited time only. Participating U.S. Wendy's. Select a request $3 breakfast deal to obtain discount. Not valid for a la carte or combo orders.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-901-3322. 800-901-3322. 800-901-3322.
No matter what, it takes a great team to win. And in Fairbury, Aftershock Decals and Design wins consistently. And it's the all-star team that makes it happen. Do you have what it takes to be a part of this winning team? Aftershock Decals and Designs is recruiting. If you are looking to join this all-star team and you have 2 years of experience in either graphics design or wrap installations, we want you. AftershockDD.com/jobs. Aftershock Decals and Design is an equal opportunity employer. That's a wrap. Get noticed.
Ready for an exciting change? At Merle Norman, we can take your look from ordinary to extraordinary in a matter of minutes. Our innovative skincare, perfectly matched foundations, and on-trend colors will make a difference that's written all over your face. Come in and see what a makeover can do. We'll help select the products that are just right for you, and we'll teach you tips that the pros know about applying your most flattering shades. Ask for your free express makeover today, calling 217-359-8100 or visit 706 West Market View Drive in Champaign.
When we put family first, we create moments that last a lifetime. We pass memories down through generations. We can all declare, I remember when.
Far side, Pat Bryant, touchdown. Isaiah Williams turns upfield, 45, 40. Trouble, he's sacked. Seth Coleman.
It's your turn to create these memories. Illinois football season tickets are on sale now for as low as $99 at fightingillini.com.
UC Bank, leading the way to your financial wellness. No matter where your financial journey begins, Pathways banking options at Busey are designed with your goals in mind. Busey Bank, building strong financial futures, one family, one street, one city at a time. Proud to be the official bank of the Fighting Illini. Member FDIC.
Want unbeatable prices on your next furniture purchase, but also seeking that local hometown feel? Look no further than Kelsey Furniture in Tuscola. Customers rave about their friendly, established staff, as well as their great selection, amazing prices, and second-to-none delivery service. They're a third-generation local business, and they've always got your best interests at heart. Find the look you love for less. Open 9 to 5 Monday through Saturday, but always available online at kelseyfurniture.com. That's kelseyfurniture.com.
Hey Illini fans, it's Max Kellerman. Catch Lon Tay and Derek Piper weekdays from 4 to 6 right here on ESPN Radio 93.5.
That's going to be, Wiggins has been off for a while, so it's conditioning, but same with KD, who's only played, 7 or 8 games in a year, 2023. So there's a lot on the line while one team knows who they are, another team is trying to find out who they are. That's going to be the biggest thing we're going to be talking about in sports. That is the matchup.
GJ and Max, followed by Greeny. Mornings on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app. This weekend on ESPN Radio.
Way out of here. Left center field, Manny Machado.
Two of the odds-on favorites to win the National League go head-to-head in Atlanta. Manny Machado and the San Diego Padres begin their first East Coast road trip of the season when they face Ronald Acuna Jr. and the Braves.
Ronald Acuna Jr.
The Padres at the Braves. Coverage begins tomorrow at 6:30 Eastern and Sunday at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio. You can also listen on the ESPN app and on your smart speaker. ESPN's College Game Day, the podcast.
The whole kerfuffle over "you can't see me" and Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, which the reaction to it, just whatever. I mean, people were trash talking. Relax. But the one thing I did think about with this is that had a little bit of an NBA feel to it.
Listen to the College Game Day podcast with Reese Davis and Pete Thamel, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Thank you for calling Navy Federal Credit Union. How can I help you?
Hi, if I'm in the Army, not in the Navy, am I still eligible for membership?
Yes, you are.
What about my sister in the Air Force?
Her too.
And my dad's a Marine.
We serve all branches of the military, veterans, and their families.
My dog is a retired military working dog.
I'll see what I can do.
Find out if you're eligible at NavyFederal.org. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. Insured by NCUA.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. So you ordered a new air filter for your car. You try to install it, but it doesn't fit. So you take a little bit off the sides. What, still doesn't fit? Well, you could try to sit on it. Or get it right the first time with eBay Guaranteed Fit. When you see the check, you know that part's going to fit. Air filters, brakes, headlights, over 122 million parts. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors, let's ride. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/joy. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right. Get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/joy. That's 4hims.com/joy for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/JOY.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. Day 2 at the Masters dramatically interrupted by weather. Just as the second delay began, 2 massive pine trees came down in front of the 17th tee. There were no injuries. Brooks Koepka is the leader right now at 12 under. Jon Rahm is 3 shots back. 23-year-old amateur Sam Bennett is 4 back. Coverage continues on ESPN and ESPN+. The LSU women's basketball team will accept an invite to the White House, and Tigers captain Angel Reese will attend.
Yes, I'm a team player. I mean, it would look crazy for me not to be there, for one. And then for two, I mean, going back home to the DMV, you don't really get those chances. You don't get those chances often. So being able to go back with the team and just following along with my coach does, because they have the best interest in me.
Angel Reese on KJ and Max. She had said earlier in the week that the Tigers should celebrate with the Obamas instead. ESPN has learned the Titans will sign defensive lineman Jeffrey Simmons to a 4-year extension that could be worth up to $94 million.
Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do. Fortunately, Geico makes it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. It's a good thing, too, because having a home is hard work. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. Geico.com. Easy. I like me last times like these that make me say, Lord, in the city, please come my way.
Brooks Koepka is your leader at the Augusta National Club as round 2 is in a weather delay, and it looks like weather delay is going to be the story of the weekend down there, too. Glad everybody's okay. The story that you just heard about in the Sports Center with the trees falling, I mean, if you haven't seen this video on social media or whatever, it is really scary. Oh, my God. But it looks like the trees did not hit anyone. They're going to get those, Augusta, Coley, they'll get the trees cleaned up in about 5 seconds.
Yeah, they'll get it cleaned up in 5 seconds. But the thing I'm curious about is, what do you do about the rest of the trees? I mean, there's tons of trees on the grounds, and we're going to get a ton of rain at Augusta here the next 24 hours or so. So how do you measure the possibility of this happening again?
Yeah, and I think you just got to keep, as long as the weather is dangerous, that's why you got to get people off the course, and it's why you got to keep them off the course. We'll continue to keep you posted what's going on down there. Canty and Carlin on ESPN Radio. I'm Aaron Goldhammer. He's Coley Harvey. You can listen on Sirius XM Channel 80 or on your smart speaker. Just say play ESPN Radio, and it is time for us to play yet another edition of Respect It or Check It.
Respect it or check it. With Canty and Carlin.
Respect It or Check It, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, where you can make every moment more. Producer Eric will throw out a topic. Coley and I will either respect it or check it. Eric, what do you got?
Well, you mentioned off the top there, Aaron, that Brooks Koepka is leading the Masters right now. And so that begs the question now, in the future, at some point, live golfers will not be allowed at the Masters. So do you respect it or check it, Aaron?
I respect it. I think they're not involved in the world golf rankings. So I wonder at some point how they're going to earn their way there. And I also think that the more we know about live golf, the more this thing continues on. do you see them, Coy? They're playing in shorts. They're not even really playing real full tournaments. It's something that's just hard to take seriously, and I think as it evolves, I think eventually it's going to be gone, but there will be a little middle zone here where in order to get enough points to be able to qualify, you can't be playing on the Live Tour.
Yeah, I'm going to respect this prompt as well, but my reasoning is different. I actually think that the way of the future for golf is what Liv is doing. I mean, the PGA and we've seen Tiger and Rory already start to kind of tinker with some nuances of the game to try to kind of match some of that. But my issue is who's backing Liv. I'm still of that mindset that, we can't be applauding a regime that has detained and, to our knowledge, killed journalists, and that's what the Saudi government has done. So I'm not with Liv. I'm respecting this.
Respect it or check it on Canty and Carlin. I'm Aaron Goldhammer. He's Coley Harvey. Producer Eric, what do you have next?
Well, sticking with the Masters here, Tiger Woods has said that it might be one of my last ones. We'll see. This will be Tiger's last Masters. Coley, you respect it or check it? I check that, man. We're gonna see more Tiger. I mean, if we're seeing Freddie Couples still going out there, and we're seeing Mickelson posting what he's posting, he's a couple of years older than Tiger. I think we're gonna see more from Tiger in future years.
I respect it, Coley, because those guys didn't get in a life-threatening car accident where they almost had their leg amputated. And really, Tiger, the issue isn't his upper body. His upper body, the dude is still jacked like he was when he was 20-something years old.
Still driving really well because of it, too.
The issue is we were watching him walk up the hill at 9 today together. And he was using his club as a cane to be able to walk up that hill. So I think it has more to do with the car accident than just old age. And I just wonder how much longer, if he can't compete to win, he's going to want to go out there like Sandy Lyle did today, where he's just sort of, it's an honorary trip around the course for Bernard Longer, who has no chance to win this thing. Respect it or check it. Producer Eric, what do you got next?
All right, so Kyrie Irving and 5 other Mavs have been ruled out tonight in a must-win game for them. They're saying it's right foot injury recovery for Kyrie Irving. We've also heard that the Mavs do want to retain Kyrie Irving, but what I will say here is that Kyrie Irving will sign with the Lakers in the offseason. Aaron, you respect it or check it?
I respect it. I just have seen so much flirting going on between LeBron and Kyrie recently. I think the only thing that could resurrect Kyrie's career and get his reputation back from being a total cancer to your organization to being someone that can help you win a championship is pairing up with LeBron James. Coley?
I gotta agree with that, to be honest. I really wanted to stay away and see if I could be contrarian, but as I kept coming up with ideas, I really can't. I think you're absolutely right. We're going to see those two playing again together.
Eric?
All right, this is Coley Harvey. You're going to like this one. The Kings will make the Western Conference Finals. Respect it or check it?
You know what? I'm going to go on that limb. I'm going to respect that, man. Come on, man. Let's go Kings, man. Come on, Sacramento, Sacktown. Let's get up in there. I mean, this has been such a long time coming for this franchise, just to be in the playoffs. I was around the Mariners last year during that very brief, but during that postseason run that they had, and just the city of Seattle really fell for their team, and I feel like the same thing is going to happen for Sacramento, and they're going to go on a run. I'm going to say it right now, respecting that.
I'm going to check that one. Look, great season. 16 years, you haven't been in the playoffs. Mike Brown, Coach of the Year. Stars win in the NBA. And I like me some Domantas Sabonis and some De'Aaron Fox. But when you guys have to face Steph, Clay, Bron, Davis, that level of player, good luck to you. I think it's more likely the Kings get eliminated in the first round, let alone them winning 2 rounds and going to the conference finals. I got to check that one. Eric?
All right, Bill Belichick, he wants to be the winningest coach in the NFL history, and I think it's about 18 wins, I want to say, away for Coach Bill. And we know that the Patriots haven't made the playoffs 2 out of the last 3 seasons. So respect it or check it, Aaron. Bill Belichick will coach for a different NFL team at some point in his career.
I'm going to respect that. I think the relationship between him and Bob Kraft is on the rocks. They're fighting over Mac Jones. They're blaming each other over who really pushed Tom Brady out the door. And what happened in New England this past year was just bizarre. I mean, no other coach could get away with that and have us not ripping them constantly on ESPN radio. Hiring a defensive coordinator to be your offensive head coach, and then the quarterback's going to Alabama to try to get some qualified coaching. The whole situation was just bizarre. And I think it'd be good for both sides. You know, it's been a long time since anybody else coached the New England Patriots. I could see Bill going somewhere else to get this record totally, especially if this season goes off the rails. Coley?
I got to respect, too. I think that, in a way, that move of using a defensive coordinator to be your OC, I mean, it almost feels like self-sabotage in a way. So I'm going to respect it, too. I could see Bill saying, you know what? We've had a nice run here. We've had all our championships here. Let's see if I can do it somewhere else one more time, because that's something that has been lingering over this franchise, was the fact that you had Bill and you had Brady at the same time. You caught light in a bottle. Who exactly was it? That's been the big question mark. So if I'm Bill, maybe show my legacy in a different way. Try to win a championship somewhere else.
I'll give you an interesting somewhere else. We know Belichick respects Paul Brown more than any other coach in history.
Yes, he does.
And we know that Belichick's career started in Cleveland, where he got totally sabotaged by Art Modell moving the team. Yeah. What better way to prove you're the greatest coach of all time than to try to take the Cleveland Browns to the place they have never been?
And you know he'd be welcomed with open arms by all your people there in Northeast Ohio.
The cutting Bernie Kosar in 1993, all is forgiven if Bill wants to come back and coach the Cleveland Browns. Thank you to Eric for another great edition of Respect It or Check It. Up next, are the Mavs mailing it in, or is there some different strategy at play here? What's going on in Dallas? Coley and I explain next. Canty and Carlin, ESPN Radio, the ESPN app.
GJ and Max.
When was the last time you used a waffle maker?
I got about 5 of them in my cabinets. I got the mini, I got the Mickey Mouse, I got the mini one.
You use them?
I got frozen waffles in the refrigerator.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. It all starts weekday mornings at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you're always looking for ways to position your operation to create opportunities and move on them faster. With Bank of America, you get access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2023 Bank of America, N.A.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. Okay, easy now. You're teaching your kid how to parallel park. Ouch! Turns out he likes to do it by feel. Don't worry, eBay Motors has bumpers, trunk lids, license plate holders, and headlights. They've got lots of headlights. When you need parts, get it right the first time with eBay Guaranteed Fit. When you see the check, you know that part's going to fit. eBay Motors. Let's ride. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Let Max Twin City Recycling pay you for your junk metal items. As the weather begins to heat up, now is a great time to put cash in your pocket for the steel, copper, brass, and aluminum items you've been meaning to get rid of. We've recently added a large concrete pad to make unloading quicker and cleaner for our customers. Visit us on North Lincoln Avenue, just north of I-74, or at maxrecycling.com.
Starting it over is what we do at Max Twin City Recycling.
A tradition of excellence over 150 years in the making. At Busey Bank, we're committed to building relationships that span generations. Wherever your journey in life leads you, we are with you along the way, creating a legacy for you and your family. Busey Bank, building business, growing wealth since 1868, proud to be the official bank of the Fighting Illini. Member FDIC.
If you're looking for a pre-owned car, truck, or van, look no further than Sarah Champagne. You know them for their 5 incredible vehicle brands, the BMW, Honda, Subaru, Buick, and GMC. But did you know they also have over 100 used cars, trucks, and vans in stock right now? And at Sarah Champagne, they will take care of you. You can trust them. And prices begin at under $2,000. Stop by Sarah Champagne. They're Burwash and Savoy, or go online, sarahchampagne.com. That's Sarah, SERR SPRAchampagne.com. Your lawn is an important investment. Let Spring Green take care of that lawn. Your local, family-owned and operated Spring Green has been committed to beautifying your neighborhood through quality, service, and professionalism. Spring Green's full program customers are backed by their guarantee of satisfaction. Smart Money Magazine reports that consumers value a home with a well-maintained lawn and landscape up to 11.3% higher than the base price. Why don't you call Spring Green today, 359-2111, or visit them at spring-green.com. Have you heard rare, exotic Tibetan yak meat is now available locally? Savannah Ridge Farms, operating in Indianola, Illinois, has been expanding their yak herd in central Illinois for nearly 2 years, offering local farm-to-table meat containing absolutely no antibiotics, no hormones, or steroids. Savannah Ridge Farms raises free-range yaks, fed organic grass and hay in chemical-free open land. They are humanely raised and harvested locally. Yak meat is one of the best sources of protein and is nearly 100% fat-free. So if you want healthy, nutrient-dense, vitamin-packed red meat without the worry of how it got to your plate, visit SavannahRidgeFarms.com and check out their Facebook page. They deliver to Champaign and Vermilion counties. You can even pick them up at their farm. It's SavannahRidgeFarms.com. Hi, it's Stevie J. Start your day with me along with Diane Ducey, weekday morning 7 to 9, here on ESPN Radio 93.5.
That you will eliminate any woman who is directly connected to the Cowboys.
How many women are there that are directly connected?
Lots. How about if she's a diehard Cowboys fan? Would you marry a Cowboys fan?
You know, if it were like true love, maybe.
If she tells you she
billions of women in the world, Greeny, not all of them are connected to the Cowboys.
I'm naming the ones who are. What if she tells you she wants Roger Staubach to perform the ceremony?
By the time I get married, I don't know if Roger's going to be around.
Whoa. Terrible thing to say.
Not the right thing to say.
How about a great human being, a great man in Roger Staubach, who I love, served our country? You're killing Roger Staubach?
It's more how long from now I'm going to get married.
What if she wants Tony Romo to perform the ceremony?
I'd have to say, can we find someone else?
I hope I can go to
You
that.
fumbled us net.
Greeny with Mike Greenberg. Weekday mornings at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio. Plus, you can watch and listen on the ESPN app.
Week 8 of the XFL kicks off Saturday as the Vegas Vipers face the St. Louis Battlehawks at 1 p.m. Eastern, followed by the Arlington Renegades at the Orlando Guardians at 4 p.m. on ESPN. On Sunday, the Houston Roughnecks take on the San Antonio Brahmas at 3 p.m. on ABC. And then the DC Defenders play the Seattle Sea Dragons at 7 p.m. on ESPN2. Catch every XFL game on ESPN+. Bring it in.
This weekend on ESPN Radio.
Way out of here. Left center field, Manny Machado.
Two of the odds-on favorites to win the National League go head-to-head in Atlanta. Manny Machado and the San Diego Padres begin their first East Coast road trip of the season when they face Ronald Acuna Jr. and the Braves.
Ronald Acuna Jr.
The Padres at the Braves. Coverage begins tomorrow at 6:30 Eastern and Sunday at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio. You can also listen on the ESPN app and on your smart speaker.
Well, the Mavs' playoff future is at stake tonight, and they're responding to that in a must-win game by sitting 5 guys. It's Canty and Carlin on ESPN Radio, ESPN app. I'm Aaron Goldhammer. He is Coley Harvey. 888-SAY-ESPN, the number if you want to jump in with us. Coley, I think I've figured out what's going on here, but I was confused when I saw, with the playoffs at stake, and the play-in at stake, I guess I should say. Kyrie, Josh Green, Tim Hardaway Jr., Maxi Kleber, Christian Wood, all going to miss tonight's game with various quote-unquote injuries. Is this odd to you, what the Mavs are doing here?
It's super odd to me. If you figured it out, by all means, tell us. Because I when I saw this earlier, I said, what? With your season essentially on the line,
right,
you're not
okay.
going to play some of your best players. So
let me see if I could explain this, Coley, and that it makes sense. So the Mavericks did a trade a number of years ago for Kristaps Porzingis with the Knicks. And one of the things that was included in that deal was this year's first-round pick, top 10 protected.
Right.
So if the Mavericks make the play-in but don't advance, they're very likely going to end up with the 11th pick in the draft. And so that's the worst-case scenario for them, because that pick then transitions over to New York, and it's a relatively high lottery pick. I mean, the 11th pick isn't nothing. The Knicks might be able to use that to trade for a star or to use it on a good player. Who knows? Sometimes the 11th pick in the draft really, realistically, could turn into a really valuable rotation guy.
Absolutely.
So rather than try to make the play-in and then make a run to get into the playoffs, the Mavericks are trying to protect the draft capital to get the 10th pick or better by missing the playoffs now on purpose. So then I wondered, okay, well then why not just sit Luka also and make this really obvious? I guess tonight is, quote, I love Slovenia night. Wow. I feel Slovenia night at the Dallas arena. So I think Luka wanted to be there for that situation, and then that's why he's playing, quote unquote. But it does feel like what the Mavs are doing now is trying to lose on purpose and get the draft pick and just have Kyrie and Luka and not even make the playoffs.
I just feel like, there is a level of transparency to this, I suppose. But if I'm a fan of the Mavs, if I'm a Dallas sports fan right now, I'm really disappointed in my team. I want to see the team that they tried to build for now, bringing Kyrie Irving in, trying to win now. Granted, it has not panned out for this team to this point, but I still want to see them give that effort to try to not just get into this play-in game, but to go on a run in the playoffs. And by sending this message, you're trying to maybe get your roster squared away for the future and build for the future, because at this point, that is possibly what they could be playing for, depending on how things shake out with their play-in tournament scenario. But I just feel like it just sends the wrong message to the fans. And I maybe I'm one of those myopic, kind of optimistic sports fans, where I just really want to see the fans taken care of and see your team try to win.
Yep.
But it just sends the wrong message to me.
I mean, it's odd to see the Mavs' playoff lives are on the line, and they're responding to that by losing on purpose. Welcome to the NBA in 2023.
Playing for the future and not now.
As naive as the commissioner might want to be about, this just isn't good for the soul. It's just against the spirit of what sports is supposed to be about. If your play-in spot is on the line, you're supposed to go all out to try to get it and not be thinking about future draft picks and assets and Kyrie, is he going to re-sign or not? Anyway, Brian Windhurst, ESPN NBA reporter, was on KJ and Max, and he said the Mavs kind of painted themselves into a corner here. Take a listen.
I don't know if the Mavericks can responsibly do it, but they may have painted themselves into a corner with Luka, and Luka's comments earlier this week about how disappointed he was and how much it hurt to lose Jalen Brunson for nothing. If they lose Kyrie Irving for nothing, that's a nightmare scenario. Goodness knows what Luka might say or feel then. And so the Mavericks are out of position leverage-wise on this because of how poorly they've performed since this trade.
Really, this is about Luka's long-term future.
Absolutely.
And whether he's going to stay in Dallas or he's going to try to be the next NBA star to force his way somewhere else, which is wild, Coley. They were in the Western Conference Finals just a year ago.
Yeah. And what's kind of crazy is even just listening to Wendy right there, it's sort of a lose-lose situation for the Mavs, because you got to take care of Luka, and if that involves focusing on the future in a way, then by all means you have to do that. But at the same time, where's the exchange in that? You're shortchanging yourself for now and for the possibility of something special happening because you're trying to protect your guy and think about the future. I don't know. It is a tough spot for them.
But now are you going to have to give Kyrie not just a max contract, but also maximum number of years?
Yeah.
Given his lack of reliability and the fact that he really doesn't deserve a contract. All he did, and I'm not blaming this all on him. I think the Mavs have a major coaching problem. I think Luka obviously is very unhappy. But the reality is the record once they made the Kyrie trade. They totally went into the tank when he came around their team, as if his mere presence caused them to fall apart.
But it's wild is, they're with Luka and Kyrie on the floor, they're 5-11 since the trade went down. But at the same time, with just Kyrie on the floor, they're 3-1. So, it is hard to say that it is solely on Kyrie, but there is some level of change that certainly has gone on with that team in the last couple of months.
Mostly it's been just attitude. They seem like the most miserable team in the league. One other thing I wanted to get into with you on Luka, he's got to stop kvetching at the refs. The whole thing is so unbecoming. He's become the biggest crybaby. He's a great player. Become the biggest crybaby in sports.
Yeah, and I think, unfortunately, that takes away from the greatness of the player that he actually is when he's doing
it totally does, and I hope he understands that. Up next, we have an update on round 2 of the Masters in the rain at Augusta. Plus, the Suns are on fire. Can they carry it through the postseason? It's next. Canty and Carlin's on ESPN Radio and the ESPN
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/joy. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right. Get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/joy. That's 4hims.com/joy for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/JOY.
Tapman's Towing is looking for you. If you want a career with a great local company, it's Tapman's Towing, paying top dollar for experience. If you have an excellent driving record, good oral and written communication skills, are willing to work hard and want to be paid top dollar, visit TapmansTowing.com. Tapman's is looking for CDL drivers, record drivers, and dispatchers. Work with a local company that rewards hard work. Tapman's Towing. Visit TapmansTowing.com to apply today.
Tapman's Towing. Hey, Class A CDL drivers. March is already here. We have moved our clocks forward an hour, the days are getting longer, and our customers are booking us up with freight. Gale Frericks Trucking wants to invite you to join our team and get a taste of what it's like to work with a team that cares about you, your home time, and your professional growth as well as your paycheck. This is Operations Manager Donna Onstott inviting you to join us as we continue building the company you would have started if you knew then what you know now. Our drivers are pre-dispatched, make a guaranteed minimum gross pay of $1,200 per week, have paid vacations and benefits, and are home every weekend and sometimes during the week for quality family time. Our openings are limited, so don't miss your opportunity with the top-paying trucking company in the area, Gale Frericks Trucking. Call 765-793-7131 today. Call 765-793-7131 today. 765-793-7131 or email timo@gftlog.com.
Hi, this is Gina from ABC Heating and Air Conditioning. If you own a locally owned family business to help you always be comfortable, who have trained, talented, licensed, and experienced technicians, then call me to schedule an appointment. We'll check your furnace to make sure it'll keep you warm this winter. And just like our name, ABC, you will always be comfortable.
Call Gina today at 217-352-5400 or visit them online at abcheatingandac.com. That's abcheatingandac.com.
See the showroom top designer shop. Flooring Surface is your first stop. Amazing selection, price, and style on hardwoods, laminates, carpet, and tile. Low prices on high fashion. Step up the flooring that gets a wow reaction. See the showroom top designer shop. Flooring Surface is your first stop. Flooring Surface is your first stop.
Flooring Surfaces now offers beautiful window fashions. Our interior design team will custom fit shade, shutters, and blinds to any size opening. Visit the showroom to see the latest fashions from Graber and Hunter Douglas, or request an in-home consultation. Whether it's floors or windows, Flooring Surfaces has you covered. See us today at 401 Mercury Drive in Champaign.
See the showroom top designer shop. Flooring Surface is your first stop. Flooring Surface is your first stop.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Cleveland. I am a licensed occupational therapist at OSF Healthcare. It's an honor to be a part of a great team helping patients restore participation in meaningful activities of daily living through a personalized therapeutic intervention. OSF Healthcare offers Champaign County outpatient occupational therapy services in our main building of OSF Heart of Mary Medical Center. As an occupational therapist, I am very passionate about helping patients recover from strokes, brain injuries, and upper extremity injuries. One of our unique offerings is helping those diagnosed with Parkinson's to improve their function and confidence in their daily activities through a specialized research-based program called LSVT Big. If you or a loved one could benefit from our occupational therapy services, please call 217-337-2377. For more information, visit osfhealthcare.org.
You're listening to WSJK ESPN 93.5 Tuscola, Champaign-Urbana, your home for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Da's greenhouse is really bringing in the green.
We can't keep snake plants in stock.
She needs a construction manager to build on her roots and grow.
We could add a whole section for ferns, and here we'd have dahlias, dahlias, and more dahlias.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
The Low Post Podcast with Zach Lowe.
Tatum, I think at worst, he's third in MVP right now. He's playing defense at a borderline all-defense level. He's too young for these conversations to really start in earnest. If he's a Celtic for life for most of his career, he has a chance to be historically, for the one of the two historic giants in the league, as great as any player who's ever worn that uniform, including Bird.
Check out the Low Post Podcast on the ESPN app or wherever you listen.
You're listening to WSJK ESPN 93.5 Tuscola, Champaign-Urbana, your home for the St. Louis Cardinals.